Welcome to Knackerbox Garage, a Scratchy Pants production.
Whoop. Okay, here we are on the T140 again. I've got really grubby old British bikes, huh? I may have to resort to some form of persuasion to get the exhaust off. I need the exhaust off so I can get a platform jack underneath to support the frame, while I then tinker around at the back end and try and clean up the rear brake. Right, well, that's the end can off. And it is, as you can see, pretty dirty, got a nice smear of oil on it. So I'm pretty grubby. So here we are at the back of the bike, as opposed to the front. I'm just looking for this. That was I think it's the brake pads. Just want to get the spring link round. I think I've or at least loosened the I must have loosened the rear nut, so that's good. Just to take that off. Oh, that's a bit tight. Right, nut off, and now we get the spring clip off. It's funny, there was this thing on YouTube about, YouTube I think, or Facebook, about someone buying a tool to pull the chain together so they could take the clip on and off, and it's like, why not use the, this is where my old pliers are definitely old. Come on. Gotcha. Well, that was painful. The chain on this could definitely do with a bit of a clean, for sure. So I think what I'll do is I'll probably drop it in a side plate off. Sorry, I'm trying to stop my fingers getting covered in filth. Not too rusty, but it is a bit crappy, so take that off, put that there. I'm getting the wheel out totally so that I can center this tag, take that off, and then I've got some work I want to do on the oh bloody hell, that's tight. Some work I want to do, well, set it all around the rear brake. Just Right, I'm gonna fiddle with that. Let me support the caliper properly and remove it so it's not blocking. So the wheel's out. I just raised the bike up. That was the easiest way of doing it, and also took the caliper mount off. That was in the way. So my my custom cab, everything is so grubby back here. Just all sorts of road dust and filth that I've not cleaned off it. I have got the caliper mounting plate off. There was a little tang that came off here that's not used, that's there to hold some form of hose. I don't really need it, so that's off. Gives it a slightly cleaner look. I can't go any further because there's 3 spot welds that actually hold it on, so that's there. I'm going to put a very racy lightning hole in here, just drill a hole there, maybe a little hole there and a little hole there, but we'll see. I don't really like people who drill holes in everything because it kind of looks, unless it's done really well, looks kind of cheesy. That, I think, is done rather well. I've got the patience to mark that out, to be honest. And as it's my Bonneville. This poor old bike is, it's ridden, and it's ridden hard, and everything on it just serves a purpose. It's not supposed to look super sweet, it's just for riding. So I have got access now to cut this off. Probably use my oscillating saw, coming from behind, just cut it off with a metal blade. I don't want to use an angle grinder because I don't want to put angle grindy dust everywhere. And then I've got a mark on here where I want a chainstay tab to go. If only I had a tab that I could weld on, that I could bolt through, that would be really useful. Oh look! There's a tab! It's like magic. I'll probably actually cut one that's... Actually, I could use that. That was supposed to be piss takey, but or Mickey takey, making fun of, but that would work actually, wouldn't it? That's pretty neat. Well, what do you know? I'll use that. That's why I cut it off, obviously. So I'm just going to drill a hole in this and put a big hole in it, and then we've got pull the brake pedal off. So this whole brake arrangement here, and then coming from underneath. So I sort of cobbled together this. This is a Kawasaki Nissin rear off the old Triumph one. I couldn't weld at the time I put this together, and it's not in line. It needs to be closer. It's got a weird offset, and it needs a clean. So I want to try and straighten it up. I made it out of aluminium that was thick so I could thread it, but now I can weld and I've got the ability to bend and craft metal a little bit better. I'm going to redo that. Move the cylinder forward, kind of sweeten up the rod here because it's actually not that great, and then change this as well to give me more, well, just to make it better really. So all that has to come off, which means I've got to take this engine plate off, undo this big bush, which is or undo this, which I think is a bronze bush, which then allows everything else to fall off. I don't think I can push, maybe I can push that out, but I've got to remember how to take it apart really. It's been a while since I put it on. I don't think I have to take the footrest off, but maybe I do to get in there. Anyway, I've got to get this kind of off to be able to get to it and then make it look nicer and function better. It's all about function. So there we go, that's what it's going to look like. Caliper fits in like that, a little bit up. Could maybe go a bit bigger with a hole, but I think that's enough. What's more, I'm really happy that little tang has gone. There's absolutely no reason for it in this setup with my custom made brake hoses. So the next thing now is to pull this off. I'm going to try really hard not to bleed the system. I may end up unfortunately bleeding it, but I mean, it may just happen. I may have to break the hose. Anyway, we'll see. We'll see. The plan is to take this all off now and then move into removing this. So I've got to remove this bracket. And I realise now, looking at where I put my oil filter, that's not conducive to that getting to that grease nipple. So that wasn't maybe the smartest piece of design I did, but tis what it is. Next time I do an oil change, I'll remember to grease that. Alrighty, so I've managed to get the rear brake plate off. It involved taking off the footrest. It involved taking off this plate, that plate, all this stuff to get to this. And this is the rear master cylinder. This is, I'm going to say Nissan, and it's going to sound like Nissan. It's off Kawasaki, basically. It's a Japanese one. I kind of couldn't weld, or didn't have the ability to weld at the time. So this is all held together with just faith, really. Faith and a bolted, where's my aluminum thing? So that kind of bolted in there like that with stuff behind it, and that supported the, yeah, I think it was like that. And it wasn't quite in line with this, so this goes in here like that, but round the back the footrest goes through it, so that's how it's held in place. And then the front bracket, this bracket is, those two are at the bottom, goes like that, you plum. There we go, that goes there like that. So there is a chance, yeah, that other plate goes underneath it. So how just messy is that? I mean, as a design, just how messy. Yeah, well, it is what it is. The constant evolution of the design of a motorcycle from way back when. So I'm gonna try and clean this up. I need to adjust this bracket. The way that this is set isn't right. I don't know whether I can extend the studded portion here. It's out as far as it should be. I was going to cut and shift this. I may still do that to try and get a better angle on it, because what happens when I put my foot on the foot pedal, I'm out of adjustment. It just goes way down before it starts biting, which is okay, but when you touch it and you don't get any response, you're going to press harder. So in moments when I've had to emergency brake, I've ended up locking the rear brake rather than just having a modulated stop. So a few things to be done, one of which is remembering how that goes. That's it. I'm gonna take this mechanism apart now, try and get it off here. It should, I think it's just studded rod, so that should come apart. I don't really want to take the master cylinder apart. It all works, everything's good. Like I said, I don't want to break this. The fluid is up here somewhere, the reservoir is up there. I've also got to mark and clean up the swing arm, but I'm going to work on this piece first. Although while I've got all this space, I could, I think I've got put some marker pen there, was we're going to put that little tag. But what I also want to do is pull this off, clamp a piece of metal to it, and then mark where my new mudguard stay is going to go, and then I can scrape the paint off, TIG it on the other side. Probably TIG braze it, bronze weld it. That should work. Yeah, so that's the plan. That's what I'm going to do next, and it's very filthy, as all good old British bikes should be. There you go. Alrighty, so don't know what that noise was, but I'm working on the brake mechanism. Hopefully you can hear me above the welder, but I'm just going to TIG this little guy, this captive nut, to the clevis, and I can then show you what I'm working on. So let's have a go. Nice little bit of welding. Right, turn the welder off, hopefully you can hear me. So the whole idea of this is I'm trying to extend the piece. I'm going to leave it. Where's my... Can't find them. So what I'll do is because that's going to be hot. So that's a clevis. I put this extender nut on. The threaded rod goes to the master cylinder for the rear. I will clean it up. It's probably going to end up with a coat of paint. But that's very hot, so I'm going to let it cool down first. But anyway, that's what I'm making. I'll show you the assembly in a minute. So this is the rear brake actuation arm. When I put my foot on the pedal, it does that. I needed about 1/4 of an inch extra, so this gives me 3/4 of an inch extra to push the master cylinder, which screws into there. This all goes up under here, up way under there. So I'll mock it up, and then we can. I'll try and take some better photographs so you can see or better video so you can see what it's actually going to look like. So this is how it's going to look. I've got the brake arm there. I've got the clevis, the coupling nut, the master cylinder. It's all nicely in alignment, which it wasn't before. If I come around to this side, you can see that I'm going to have to weld on this bracket here. I'm going to have to weld on an additional piece that sort of goes that way. That allows me to bolt through. So that should be pretty easy. I don't need to modify the hose. The hose looks pretty good. This all stuff needs painting. The caliper needs a bit of a clean up, probably maybe a coat of paint too actually, because it looks a bit grubby. I'm really not trying to do too much restoration. I will wash most of the oil off it though, which looks as though it's coming from the kickstart shaft. So, yay. But that's more to do, I guess. This plate obviously needs bolting in properly as well. Probably give that a coat of paint as well. And I've still got to put some grease on the swinging arm. And I also found now another little tab I'd made that possibly even better for the chain guard. So I'll probably use this one, and it wants to go roughly about there. So that means I'm cutting this off as well. Something else to do. So stuff still to be done. Okie dokie, back on the rear brake. Right, this has come on and off like, I don't know, 6 or 7 times to get here. Which is, I've got the adjuster set where I want it. I've got the master cylinder in line. I've got everything set up how I want it to be. I can use this last mounting point on the bracket, which is great. I do now need to put on my new extension piece, which will be made out of a piece of this, which will be sort of something like that, but trimmed to size. Only be about that long. Needs to follow that shape, so I've got a template I need to cut out, make it out of cardboard, and then I can tack it on the back of that, which would be terrific. The pedal angle is good, and I've got a piece of metal in the caliper to stop the pistons popping out. So that has taken me a long time to get to that point. So that's where I want it to be. What I want to do now is cut the cardboard out, mark where that hole is, and then I'm just going to TIG this back on there, probably fill up the holes. I was thinking of moving, just cutting it off. Let's get the brake switch out of the way. I was thinking of cutting it off there and just welding a straight piece on. The only thing with that, which I could do, if I did that, I've got a bit of fancy shaping to do. That may be the answer, actually. Then gives me a little bit of movement on this if I need to. Do I do that? That's probably easier, isn't it? It's a straight cut. So all right, so change of design right here, right now. I'll cut that like that. I'll mark it with a pen. I'll weld that on, and then we can mark those points with a punch and get the angles right and everything. Yeah, so it's on and off a couple of times. So that's exciting. I know it's only like a couple of seconds in the video, but trust me, it's been hours. So here's that bracket. I've got it off. There's a faint angle marker pen there, which I'm realizing is really hard to see. So what I'm going to do is, let me just pull this up. Sorry, fingers in the way. There we do that. Let's get my scriber. I'll scribe a decent line that I can see. Before I cut it, because you can't see that for toffee. Now that you can see. So the plan is to cut this bugger, and then what I'm going to do is weld on a piece of plate. But first of all, we have a few things to do. You can plug this guy in. That means the sign goes off. You there. Safety glasses. I once spent some time in Guildford Hospital having a piece of red hot metal dug out of my eye. Mind you, by the time we got to the hospital, it wasn't red hot. But so I tend to try and wear safety glasses as often as I can. Don't burn a hole in my Axminster rug. There we go. I know, it's not really an Axminster rug, but I can pretend. Right, what I'm going to do, I'll turn you off, then I'm going to put a bevel on that side, and then a bevel on this plate, so that when I weld them together, and I'm going that way I think, that I've got a nice V, and I'll TIG that, but I'll put the bevel in on my belt sander, so I'll be back. Right, so here's 45-ish chamfer, both sides, give me good weld penetration. I'm going to tack it roughly about there, just get a blob on and make sure it's close to where it needs to be. I'll put this here, hopefully you can see something, but you may not see anything. It's going to get noisy, because there goes the TIG. Foot pedal. Move that up a bit. This is a great welding helmet, but it keeps dropping down when I don't want it to. And as usual, my workspace is spotlessly clean and not cluttered with all sorts of other stuff. That is not enough current either. Get up there. Right, let's see how this goes. don't think I've got quite enough heat in that, and I should strip back more paint. But for a tack to be cleaned up, that'll do it. Just to hold in place when I mark out and see where the rest of the stuff goes. But actually going out to a book swap now at a brewery, so I'll be back later.